Good evening, meteorologist Bob here for you with a Tropical Storm Emily update for Tuesday, August 2nd, 2011. Well, we saw Emily today starting to get a little better organized. I wouldn't say, I don't know, kind of using that term loosely, better organized. It's kind of the center's kind of been reforming and trying to get tucked under some convection from time to time. It's not the best organized system structurally right now, but I mean, if you wanted to compare it to this morning, yeah, it's a little better organized. Pressures really haven't come down tremendously, but we are seeing some convection trying to get around near the center this afternoon. We have maximum sustained winds now up to 50 miles an hour. Movement is to the west-northwest at 12. So here it is, positioning south of Puerto Rico here at the current point. 5 p.m. advisory did shift the overall track just to the east a bit. So whereas it was pointed more towards Florida this way this morning and yesterday, we've now shifted the track officially by the National Hurricane Center to the east a bit. That's where the consensus of the models are now running, pretty much through the Bahamas and then pretty much out to sea like this. Again, as I was telling you yesterday, we'll know if this will affect Florida or anywhere across the southeast coast here, whether it's Georgia, South Carolina or North Carolina, by whether really where Emily's going to come off of the Hispaniola here. If it goes more over eastern Dominican Republic or even over the DR here, more than likely it's going to take this path and out to sea. If we see it come more towards Haiti, then there's more of that possibility that it could come very close to the coast here. So still, you know, the game is still out here for the United States. I know a lot of people are wondering, you know, will it come close to the United States? Still uncertain about that. Probably could maybe breathe a little bit of a little sigh of relief today. I mean, I wouldn't sound the all clear yet. I wouldn't do that yet. Another reason why we had that little bit of shift, we saw the center kind of reform to the south and east earlier today as well. So a lot of the center reformation has a lot to do with where the models are taking the system. And again, if that center keeps reforming, we're going to have to keep shifting this track a little bit. So it's definitely not set in stone. We have tropical storm warnings for the entire island of Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, and then we have tropical storm watches here for the Turks, Caicos, and southeastern Bahamas in here. And also for the British and U.S. Virgin Islands as well. So again, that's where we're at now. And I'll give you some strengthening ideas and what may happen in a minute here. All right, let's look at the satellite loop. And you see just recently here, you see this blow up of convection here, which is pretty near the center or just to the north of the center. The center could be reforming just to the north a little bit. If that's the case, then the track will shift again. You know, I'll have to see. The hurricane hunters didn't really get a good idea of exactly where the center is because it keeps reforming under some of these bursts of convection. So, you know, again, that track forecast is still susceptible to some changes here. And you can see across Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, we are getting some squally weather through here this afternoon. Put a little color on here, and you can see that latest blow up of convection pretty much close to the center or possibly just to the north of the center here. Overall, the structure, decent outflow to the south, but still terrible looking outflow to the north and northwest, and this is where a lot of that dry air is still in it. Looks like the dry air has mixed out a little bit today, not as bad as it was, but it's still there, and you really can see the outflow looks very sloppy here off to the north and northwest here, and even to the, well, the outflow's a little better to the west, but real sloppy up in here. Not a very organized system. Definitely better outflow to the south. Looking at the radar here, you can see squalls coming through Puerto Rico. I've seen wind gusts 20-25. Across St. Croix here, seen wind gusts to about 30 with some of these squalls, and that's what you're going to see here. We could see some isolated wind gusts to near 40 miles an hour with some of these squalls across the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico tonight into tomorrow. That's about all you're going to get. Could get some flooding rains. We've seen some 1-inch amounts here with some of these squalls across Puerto Rico today. So your main thing will be some localized flooding, and like I said, wind gusts about 40 miles an hour, possibly 45 at the peak, especially in the higher elevations. But basically, Puerto Rico, you guys have are probably going to come out of this pretty much unscathed from this system. Looking at the water vapor loop here, you can see our first trough still starting to get carved out here in the Western Atlantic. This is that first piece of energy that's come down. That's actually going to lift out, and we're going to see another piece that'll come down as well. So it's kind of like a 1, 2, and probably 3 punch here as we try to carve out this trough to kick Emily out to sea. Again, a lot of dry air still sitting to the north and northwest of Emily. You can see outflow, not that excited to the north and northwest, better outflow to the south. And that's really where she is right here. All right, steering currents, really nothing stayed, everything stayed the same. Nothing's really changed. Subtropical high to Emily's north. High pressure, unfortunately, still over Texas. Here's our trough right in here. You see another piece coming out of Canada. There'll even be a third piece. And these pieces will continue to carve out this trough in the Western Atlantic. So the avenue is going to be this avenue. Again, how far west does it go? That's the key, whether it really affects the Bahamas directly or even comes close to Florida and Georgia, South Carolina, possibly North Carolina. North Carolina really looking probably out of this right now, although it could get pretty close. Again, you just never know. But anyway, so this is the avenue right here. And then we'll be flopping this back and forth, west, east, west, east. Will it come out, you know, will it totally miss everything? Will it even miss most of the Bahamas? You know, where is it exactly going to go? And that's not going to really get a good idea of anything past the Dominican Republic and Haiti until we get through the next day or two. First, we got to see if it even survives the crossing over this big mountainous region. Conditions will be much more favorable on the other side here. So near the Bahamas, conditions are going to be more favorable. Upper level winds will be more favorable for development. So if it can survive the move over the Hispaniola, we could see a hurricane up in this area. So that's why we really got to keep on guard here across the East Coast. Okay, models. Everybody wants to see models, so here we go. We got mostly 12Zs in here. We got some 18Z BAMs. You see them, the BAM models have been still running pretty much west. This yellow line is the Canadians been running west as well. UK Met hugs the coast. HWRF comes pretty close to the coast. Then we have the rest of them. We have the GFDL. GFS is out here, but the GFS I'm going to show you at 18Z has actually shifted farther west again. So again, the switching goes back and forth, back and forth. So again, where it's going to go, it's still got to keep a close eye there across the Florida and the southeast. 18Z, these are Clark Evans products here. And again, that's where the consensus is, and this is where the National Hurricane Center is going with now. Pretty much the consensus over Hispaniola, pretty much over Dominican Republic, and then out to sea like this. But again, how close will it get to the East Coast? That's the question right now. Intensity models, LGEM, ships, all bringing it up to a hurricane now in the next 3 or 4 days. So again, if it could survive the DR or Hispaniola or Haiti, if it can survive that region, there's a chance we could see a hurricane on the other side. So be aware, Bahamas, you guys really want to be aware of that because we could see a hurricane in your area. And then maybe possibly getting close again to the East Coast, we'll have to see, or the Southeast Coast. I don't want to say the East Coast because this isn't coming all the way up the East Coast. It's impossible to do. Euro model, still not developing the system at 12Z, dissipates it, gets near Hispaniola and goodbye. So Euro not on board with development. Will it be right? Who knows? GFS, this is the latest GFS. This is 18Z, and 18Z has moved closer to the coast again. Again, we see the flip-flopping. Hey, the GFS is back on board with development today. You remember late yesterday it said it's not going to develop anymore. Now all of a sudden today it wants to develop, keep it developed again. So we'll see. Again, takes the track over Hispaniola, close to the Bahamas. There's one trough coming through, and then we're going to see the next kicker come through and finally take it out to sea. So be interesting to note. I'm going to show you one other thing. 1 second. I'm going to get back to the official forecast track. But let me just show you finally the HWRF model. This was 12Z. And you can see almost like the GFS track except a little closer to the coast. So very interesting. And again, we're definitely not out of the woods yet if you live across Florida or the southeast coast. We still want to be aware, and still thinking it's going to come a little closer to the coast than we think. But again, we're really going to have to see here. Just looking at the track, let me just go back to the track real quick here. And, you know, you see how they have this track like this? I see it coming. That first trough could kick it this way. Then we might actually see a little movement back to the west a little bit. Maybe more of a northwest to west-northwest before it finally kicks out to sea. I mean, they got this beautiful bend like this, but if you really see it, you know, even if it comes off the DR here or off Hispaniola, it could actually, before that another piece of energy comes down, it could actually kick it back towards the west a little bit. So that's why we want to be aware of here, especially Bahamas, Florida here, that it could come pretty close. So just want you to be aware of that as well as we look at this track. Again, we will know definitely for certain whether we're going to have the all clear for the southeast in Florida or batten down the hatches probably in the next couple days. Let's see where it gets. Let's see once it gets off of the Hispaniola here whether we're going to sound the all clear or not for Florida. We can't do that yet. Bahamas, you might be in a direct impact, and we could have a strengthening system through the Bahamas here by about Friday. So be aware of that if you're living in that area as well. Well, that's it for my update today. This evening, I will have another update for you guys tomorrow morning. And, you know, again, if you want to hit me up on Facebook, I usually post little tidbits on there from time to time. It's Robert, ACANFRIO, and I'll be glad to add you as a friend, and you can get my updates there. Have a good day.